Conversation with a fellow clown. It's not very serious, we're clowning around. It's really just a clown-versation. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Clown-versation. It's very nice to see you all. Well, not that I can see you, but you can see me and I can feel you in spirit. Welcome. So if you're new to the Clown Spirit family, please hit the subscribe button and support the work that we're doing and say hi in the comments. It would be awesome to know who's there. I know we have Catfish and we have David so far, who are long time avid fans of Clown-versations and everything we do here. So thank you so much, David and Catfish and all you others out there. But yeah, who else is there? Let us know where you are today and how you're doing today. Just say hi in the comments. And of course, as always, it's really wonderful if you can share this link with your friends and followers, people on Facebook, people out there, and to help grow this audience and bring this work to more people. I'm going to, before I introduce our guest for this week, who is the amazing Mooky Cornish, who I've not met until today, about 30 seconds ago. We're flying by the seat of our pants here. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the next few weeks because we've got some very exciting people coming up. I am also taking a few weeks break from this to do some other projects, including going to Finland for a week, which I'll probably be writing about on the Facebook group to do a circus project in Finland. So look out for that. After that, we have Giovanni Fusetti. We have Audrey Crabtree. We have John Townsend. And just to cap it off, we have Stephen Manovich. And if you know who he is, he wrote an amazing book called Free Play, which I think is a huge inspiration to a lot of us in the arts and theatre world. And he's agreed to be on a Clown-versation, even though he's not a clown. So I've got some big stars coming up over the next few weeks. Well, the next couple of weeks I'm going to be off, but then back at the end of May and into June, we'll be having those people. And then, you know, it's a summer and who knows what's going to happen over the summer. Things may get a little bit quieter in the clown spirit world, but never fear. We're not going to go away forever. We'll be back eventually, maybe towards the end of the summer. So hi, Magic the Clown from Bainbridge Island, Washington. Cool. Good to have you here. Just up the road from me. I'm in Oregon. Yes, David, wonderful upcoming Clown-versations. That is true. So who else is out there? I know there's some people watching. Check in, say hi in the comments. And also, once we are talking, once I have Mooky here and we're talking, please feel free to put questions into the comments. If you have any questions for Mooky, it would be amazing to have them and we can make this a real Clown-versation. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to introduce my amazing guest for today. Mooky is has been a clown since she was 15. And we're going to hear the story of that in a little while, how she first became a clown. She was one of 2 featured clowns in Cirque du Soleil's Varekai. So she's got some amazing chops and experience of being a professional clown in, you know, one of the biggest contemporary circus companies, the biggest contemporary circus company in the world, which must have been pretty interesting. She's also performed at prestigious venues, London's Royal Albert Hall, San Francisco's Palace of Fine Arts, and the Sydney Opera House. Pretty amazing. She was also part of the cast in La Soiree, a cabaret variety show at the South Bank Big Top in London, England. And she made a show with Cal McCrystal, who we had on a few weeks ago, one of her best loved shows, the Glories of Gloria review, which I haven't seen the whole thing, but just the YouTube promo, the highlights of that show were really incredible. Really, I just laughed my head off just watching the highlights. So that's a really good sign. And I'm excited to ask Mooky much more about that show, in which she kind of showcases an incredible array of talents that she has, incredible piano playing, which I'm very envious of. So I'm going to welcome to this virtual stage Mooky Cornish. Hello, Mooky.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
It's lovely to meet you. Look at
Yeah,
that. You're in some kind of a wonderful rural idyll there with the sun
I'm in
shining on you.
my urban hillbilly farm. I live in town, but I made a farm in my backyard, anyways. That's my chicken coop. Where's my head? Oh, this way.
Yeah,
That's my.
there's the chicken coop. Very
Yeah,
cool. A
it
sort of
looks.
improvised chicken coop.
Yeah, I had to insulate it in the month of January, so I just kind of quickly slapped some insulation and plastic on it. Looks like total hillbilly land this time of year. My whole yard is hillbilly land this time of year. There's my little chickens.
Oh, look at those chickens.
Yeah,
That's awesome. How
they're illegal.
wonderful. And does the hillbilly thing fit with your neighborhood? Do you fit right in there?
Yeah, my
To the
neighborhood's pretty chill. Anything goes here. It's like kind of middle ground neighborhood with loads of immigrants, artists, and First Nations folks. So yeah, here we're kind of allowed to do
Wow,
what we want. Everybody
that
in the
sounds
neighborhood knows
amazing.
they have chickens, and they're against the law here, but nobody really cares. They just let us be
Wow, chickens against the law. That's a bit
in town.
stern.
In town,
Right,
they
right.
they are
So
in a lot of cities. So I think it was a part of a kind of an egg monopoly at one time, and then now I don't know. It's just like about livestock in towns. Usually towns are like don't you can't have a pig in the city, for instance.
it's a pig in the city, babe pig in the city.
But
It's
my
it's
girls are
a it's an egg conspiracy, right?
it was. Here, Galina. Up,
It
up,
was.
up, up.
Is that name Galina,
Yeah,
as in Gadina?
yeah. Well,
Oh,
they both
hello.
have Russian names because I train them in Russian. They're circus chickens.
Of course. What do they
Yeah,
do apart from
Galina.
speak Russian?
Uh, Galina jumps through hoops and she's a good flyer. She does a little slalom course. She's really kind of physical. Like she just jumped to my arm from the ground. She jumps on my head. She's learning piano, but she's a bit stubborn about it, aren't you? And what else does she do? She goes on a pedestal. I have a podium, like a tall pod, podium, I guess, a pedestal. I don't know, a tall perch, and then she
Yeah.
goes up on the perch, and I balance her and the perch on my chin, and she's about, I guess, 20 feet in the air by then, and she has to stay really still so that I can balance her.
Wow, that chicken has a good head for heights.
She's
Or she's a
great.
she's
She's
a
really
bird,
cool.
especially she.
She's really cheeky though. She's a pain because she has. I think she's a clown. Like she has a good sense of humor, and she's like she'll do her tricks wrong just to make me crazy. I've been teaching them to take a coin and put it in the hat, and she just takes the coin and runs away, puts it under the table. Then when I have to go get it, she's like, "Beep, bop, 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 bop."
That's brilliant. So she's kind of playing the low status, the Auguste to your
She
wifey.
is the runt of the two. Like she's the lower, like she's the weaker of the two, but that meant she bonded with me. And so in her mind, she thinks she's the top dog. But even though the other chicken is smarter and faster and stronger, now she's the boss lady. Just because she's a bully. But I've been trying to teach them that they don't need to have status. That we're only three, and yeah. So
How do you
hopefully in a
teach
new.
Mookie? How
Well,
do you
just
teach
by
a chicken that?
Well, like at first, so she's really affectionate with me. Like she sits on my shoulder and she cuddles with me and sleeps. And when I started doing that with Cook, the other chicken, like picking her up and cuddling her, Galina got really mad and started really bullying her and biting her head and stuff. So now I try to just like pick them both up and at the same time and cuddle them both and then I give Galina lots of extra attention so that she still feels like she's more important and
That's it's amazing.
I don't
I
know.
can't quite tell if this is real or if this is just a story.
No, I know. It's fascinating. Like I had no idea it was going to be this emotional roller coaster with two hands, but they have a lot. They're very social beings, and in their
Wow.
society, like they would have a rooster, and the rooster would have a favorite girlfriend, and so yeah, she
Right.
gets
So you're kind
really
of
jealous.
imitating you're being the rooster. in a way.
I'm kind of the rooster, yeah. And so, yeah, I just have to. But we're all a product of conditioning and them too. So hopefully over time they'll just let that go. Like they didn't have it last year. It's a new thing now. All of us. Well, now that they're older, I guess it's suddenly Galina's really a bully. I don't know. So I'm
Wow.
trying to get it out of her, and and they understand me. Like they understand my tone of voice, so they know
Yeah.
if I see her bullying her sister, I scold her. She knows I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she has changed a lot. Like it was kind of violent for a while, and I had to separate them and put Galina in the basement, and then she settled down a little bit.
So Mookie, you were just out in the bush for the last few days or weeks. What were you doing? Tell me.
Uh, I was away for ceremony. I guess it was ceremony. There was a
Great.
Vision Quest ceremony in the Anishinaabe community, and I was the firekeeper. And I don't know. Yeah, that's another subject.
Amazing. Yeah. No. No. No.
Yeah,
You
it
don't.
was really. I was really honored to be invited and to be there. So
Mm,
we have
mm,
a lot going on here in terms of truth and reconciliation, and the effects of colonialism on in indigenous communities. So, and I'm a white person. And I'm settler. My great grandparents settled to this region, so
mm,
it's a real honor to be invited to ceremony and try to be part of doing things better in the future.
beautiful. Amazing. How is that related? How is that related to clowning? If I may make that sort of transition
Yeah,
for you.
big time. There's
Yeah.
not a culture in the world that doesn't have clown, and certainly clowning was a big deal here in North America. For every tribe probably, and almost every tribe that I know of had some kind of clown ritual and ceremony and tradition. Then of course for a lot of places those traditions were lost when they were illegal to dance or to practice culture. So, but here, for instance, powwow is a big deal on the plains, big deal. And there's a troupe of clowns that are visiting the powwows and causing havoc and stealing from people's cars and making lots of tricks and getting people going. It's great, and everybody, I haven't seen them yet, but everybody knows about it, and they're really scary. Like the clowns are here, the clowns are here. And one time on this
Wow.
very
That's
same
amazing.
reserve, I was invited to a ceremony as a clown, and I was really intimidated. It was my first time out there, and here's this white lady dressed as a ridiculous like old granny, and everyone was just like kind of staring like, what the heck is this crazy white lady doing? And then I went to the first ceremony as a clown, and the ceremony sometimes can be very long, and you're sitting, say, on the ground or on a little bench for a long time. And at the very end of the ceremony, the medicine keeper, the leader of it all said, and I want to thank our window Khan, which is upside down clown, and everybody was like, what? He said, our window Khan, and he gestured my way, and then everyone was like, oh. And as we'd been sitting so long, and I was playing this little old lady, then I started to try to get up with cramped legs and was falling down and slipping and falling, and all the old ladies especially were really cracking up, and we just had a beautiful time. In the Here the clowns are called upside down clowns, so they just do things upside down and backwards.
Mm,
And at that same camp, there was one day, well, there was a few days where it started to rain and rain and rain and rain, and it was just like raining for days, where it's not fun anymore when you're camping and out in the land and
mm.
it's raining. It gets old. It's really boring. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, after everybody was starting to get exasperated with the rain, and I came out as my in clown in my bathing suit with an umbrella and sunscreen and a beach ball, and I was going around to everybody like, "Get your sunscreen on," and this and that, and it was really, I got to really be the contrary clown, and I was and make everybody so laugh so much. It was really magic. The thing for me was kind of the one of the coolest clown experiences of my career, because it was like the essential root of clowns, just to be upside down and backwards and bringing joy where we're all glum. And then later that afternoon, not necessarily because of me, but later the sun came out, and it felt really like good old school traditional clown magic. As
Amazing.
it's
That's
just
the real thing. It's the real
it
deal.
was, and it's such a big honor, and I got to teach the little kids, and that was a big honor too, to be a person to
Mm.
bring back their culture to them, which is mad, but that's
Ironic,
where we
yeah.
are today. And so yeah, it was yeah, and they all really appreciate the archetype and the place of clown. Like even in ceremonies, we're making jokes and cracking up. It's not serious and sanctuous like the Catholic Church or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
even when they're in old times, often clowns were kind of traveling around with the medicine people. It was their role to be
Yeah.
part of the healing, actually, really, part of for real physical healing, psychological healing, and also as a kind of social police to check in with people. Often clowns were nomadic, just like today, and they would
Mm.
travel from tribe to tribe, and that way they could observe the behaviors in tribes, and they could see if someone was too violent, or if someone was too arrogant, or if someone was too greedy or too vain, and the clown would take the piss, follow them around
Mm.
for a day
Mm.
and make fun of them, and that would make you realize, oh, I'm being an arsehole in my community. I need to change my ways, because
And
and
was
the
that, does that include the leaders? Were they able to do that to the chiefs, to the leaders,
Yeah,
as holy people?
absolutely. There was no
Mm.
chief is a post-colonial concept, but yeah, they were allowed to
Mm.
do that. They were allowed to take the piss of everybody. Yeah, they
Mm.
were unique that way, like always, like court jesters,
Mm.
and like today too. Like yeah, they had a very special permission. They were considered sacred, and you weren't allowed to be violent with a clown. You had
Mm.
to respect what they were saying to you.
Interesting.
So yeah,
So
it
with
is
the
really
with
interesting,
this
and I
this
for me it's we're such a unique tribe as clowns, and
yeah.
um and we're almost, I don't want to say raceless, but we kind of are. Like we get to, well, race is
Mhm.
bullshit anyways, isn't it? But we, as a clown, we get to be autonomous, and we get to
Mm.
travel in every country, in every community, in every, from poor to rich. Like we get to perform for oligarchs, and we get to perform in street festivals. Like we're transcendent of all that bullshit around of a conventional society. So it's pretty cool to get to be part of kind of traditional clowning in these communities. I'm really, for me, it's really meaningful.
I love how you're uh yeah, describing these things and talking about these things that are I think for a lot of people are sort of vaguely aware of these kinds of traditional roots of clowning, but don't necessarily have the experience that you're talking about of being there. And it sounds like when you started getting up as this old woman in that context at the powwow, you were like, you were recognized instantly. Like that was not something that was foreign or strange to people at all. They instantly understood the language that you were using
Exactly.
there.
I know, which is so magical, because truthfully, like their culture and traditions were so interrupted that
Mm.
we're only recently reclaiming. And so, like for the old ladies, they would not necessarily have ever seen clowns, but they would have heard stories of clowns. There's loads of
Mm.
stories and tales about clowns, and so yeah, you're absolutely right. Like they're, even though they've never seen, and the way I do it too, as a little old lady, for instance. But yeah, there was instant recognition.
Mm. It
Yeah,
sounds like
it's
these
in
this group you're talking about who are going around raising, like bringing this
havoc.
clown tradition, bringing havoc. I wonder where that originated. Like, I mean, not we know where it originally originated, but I wonder what has caused it to kind of um, come up now. Why this group has decided to do this and who they are. Do you know anything
Yeah, me too.
about
I
that?
really wonder
Yeah.
too. I really wanted to get to know them, but we haven't crossed paths yet. But I think there's been a lot of reclamation of tradition and culture in general, and so the clowns are part of that. And they've
Yeah.
always been sneaking around, but everything used to have to be really quiet. But now things are becoming more celebrated. So
It's a good
I think
sign,
it's
isn't
just a
it? It
matter.
feels like, oh, there's some life there, in these
Oh
old
my gosh,
traditions.
there's a lot of light there. there's a yeah, it's a bit, there's a lot of light there, and there's a lot of healing going on, and a lot of renaissance going on. It's been 7 generations now since colonialism really took its toll on people here, and now they're starting to be able to heal from the atrocities essentially, and move forward in a better way. So yeah, there's a lot of people on really good paths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to sort of almost just breathe for a moment and just sort of recognize that, and give thanks for that. And I mean, whilst recognizing the evil and the bad things that have happened, to give thanks also that things are happening. Maybe things are changing.
Oh yeah, they are.
Is wonderful. Yeah.
They are. Yeah, nice one.
So, Mooky, I really want to ask you about how you started clowning when you were 15. How did that happen?
So even prior, to be honest, like I don't know how it. Okay, well, I knew since a baby. Well, here's a small part of babyhood is that my mom had a very she has scoliosis twice, so her back is quite fucked, and she couldn't pick me up. So all that to say, she always had to depend on strangers. Like if she was at the grocery store, she would have to ask a stranger to pick me up and put me in the car seat. If she was
Wow.
somewhere, she always had to ask strangers. So I just always loved to smile. And I remember as a very small person, like recognizing that when you smiled, people smiled, and I just always loved that. Even as a little one, I was just always smiling at folks because I love that reciprocation of people smiling back, and I just always like seeing people smile. And then later, I used to, entertain kids on the school bus, the kids smaller than me, and just always try to make people feel good. So I was always in nature to to enjoy other people's good feelings. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm,
then I was, when you're 12, 13, they're doing all those aptitude tests at school and what your career should be and all that. I was flummoxed. I thought none of it seemed appealing. And I knew I liked people feeling good, but I didn't want to get into social work or anything like that. And then clowns just started coming to my imagination and my dreams. And I'm from a small farm village. Like I really didn't know very much about theater or circus or anything like that. And but I remember I wanted to change my wallpaper to clown paper when I was 12, 13. My dad was like, that's for babies. What are you talking about? Anyhow, and I started learning and getting every book I could get. And then I started slapping up for every birthday party in the village and Christmas event in the village, and just uh, playing with kids. At that point, I just play frisbee or play with children, but as a clown. Then I tried to teach myself how to juggle and this and that. Then at 15, I moved to the city, and there I started to attend an arts high school, so I could start training in theater. And
mm.
from there, I also my parents were the sort that you didn't get a free ride; you had to have a job, and so my mom was like, "Just make a call and do it." So I called the children's entertainment company, and they gave me a chance, and then I was really good for a teenager. I was really good at it, and so they taught me balloon animals and face painting and all that good stuff. And it was a very high quality children's entertainment company. So like we had to everything had to look very nice. Like our
Mm,
costumes were beautiful, the makeup was beautiful, the work we did was beautiful. We had to really train and practice,
mm,
and so,
mm.
yeah, I was really lucky. Like as a teenager, I was working every weekend and even going on tour already,
Wow.
going to
Wow.
Oklahoma, going around all Quebec and Ontario and performing. And then, as with a little more experience, they started teaching me magic shows, and I was doing kids' magic shows or family magic shows. So I really had a great opportunity there to be working and performing a lot already as a
Yeah.
youngster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah.
You really
And
learned
then
what it's like to be in front of an audience, just naturally.
yeah, and cool. It's nice with kids because nobody's writing a review, so you're actually really free. I remember
Mm,
learning that about directing too, because there was a point in my career where I was just doing loads of stuff in elementary schools and that sort of thing. we'd make these huge elaborate shows, and they were actually phenomenal, not just because of me, because we lived in that side of town where all the kids' parents were either drug addicts or artists or both. And so we had like amazing sets and amazing music compositions and amazing everything and really good direction, and these elaborate huge clown shows with children. And I remember learning, yeah, this is a great way to learn how to direct, because, of course, you always want to do your best, but sometimes if you're being reviewed by the press and all, that takes you down. But of course, parents just
Mm.
think everything you do is the best in the world. So it's a really good way to cut your teeth
Yeah.
into.
I see that. So it's low pressure. Like there isn't a
Yeah,
sense of, oh, I got to better do a great job because all these people are going to be watching it and judging it.
but you know how it is when you're creating. You always put that pressure on yourself to do something great.
Sure.
But yeah, the global mail's not going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
And
So you went on from making for it, it seems like at some point you transitioned from more of a traditional clown into more of a character comedy clown kind of kind of world.
yeah, yeah.
That was that a conscious thing?
Yeah, so like I said, coming from where I came from, I didn't have much concept of what clown was. I mean, I guess I'd seen Laurel and Hardy and Buster Keaton and all that, but I didn't you don't really know what you're watching when you're a child.
Mm.
And then at this arts high school where I was training in theater every day, suddenly this new teacher arrived who had come from Lecoq and all of that, and he was doing loads of clown and commedia dell'arte and all this stuff. It was like a gift from the gods to meet this guy.
Wow.
I just followed him around like a puppy dog. I thought he was the other kids all thought he was a weirdo, and I thought he was brilliant. I just I loved every minute of his stories, and he was doing a lot of clowning with indigenous communities as well, and those stories were really, I was just transfixed with him. And so he introduced me to the concept of theatrical clown. Before that, I had no idea that that was even a thing, and he started introducing me to artists that came to visit our city and were doing theatrical clowning. And so he told me about Lecoq and Gaulier and Delarte
Yeah.
in Northern
Yeah.
California. So I applied to all three schools, but I was too young to get into the European schools. And so I chose Delarte, and I just went out there. And then, yeah, that changed my trajectory from entertainment to more stage based performance, I guess, like, or character based
Mm.
performance. And even then, it's still a long, it's, well, not, but it's still an evolution, isn't it? Like, I remember when my first year, I used to wear like a tutu and long johns and a Roman helmet. Like, you have to really take the time to figure out who you are and everything. And then I used to wear this little plaid skirt and a cardigan and all of this, but that
Mm-hmm.
was so hot, so I had to over time. And then eventually, I would finish the train, and we made loads of shows down there at Del Arte. When for we were kind of ensemble based and always devised work. So for every show, you would make a new character, and for whatever to suit the show. And we also did a lot of comedy and that sort of thing. So it was always a kind of a wide yeah, array of character work and that
Mm.
kind of thing. And then but I developed down there. I developed that shtick with falling down in high heels, and I never really thought much of it. But a lot of other people would bring it back to my attention, so I thought I better hang on to that. And one time I was working up in Calgary, and we went to a festival in Edmonton, blah blah blah. And my friend she's a excellent bullwhipper, and so
Mm.
I became her sexy assistant, and then that's how Gloria was born. In fact, we got to the festival, and I borrowed a blonde wig from a drag queen. Like, I didn't really have anything, and I just found a little negligee and sewed a boa on it, and boom, that's how the character was born. Was in a being a sexy assistant to a bullwhipper in
Amazing.
Calgary, Alberta.
And how old were you when that? How long ago was that? Like, was that
That
early
would
in
be
your?
early 20, I think, early
Yeah.
20s. Yeah.
And then you just kept making material for that character. Did you sort of focus on
That's
that
right.
character mostly? Yeah.
Yeah, then I yeah,
Keep going now.
then after, well, I mean, I still did a variety of performance, but yeah, Gloria started really taking front and center. Well, then I got picked up by Soleil, and they'd seen my footage being a sexy assistant, so that was what they wanted, was that character and the high heel stick and all of that. So
So that was Gloria that you brought into Soleil.
yeah, although it didn't have a name yet. It was just this
Right.
character that I was
Right.
doing. That yeah, it didn't have a name until after Soleil. I went to the Pickle family circus in San Francisco, and we did a really theatrically based circus, and I was one of the two main characters with Joan Mankin, who's also a phenomenal clown, and
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
was kind of a mad professor type, and I was this ingenue who really wanted to be a big thing, and so I just thought the name Gloria was a name that exemplified that, and that it was you could hear it in a lot of languages, and
Yeah,
so yeah.
it's a great name. Glories of Gloria. I love that.
Yeah,
Dugan's just joined us from Belgium. Hi Dugan.
I
We're
do.
about halfway through this chat here, and I just want to remind people that you can ask questions too. If you have anything you'd like to put to Mooky, and please just write it into the comments. I'm curious about this transition. So you went from Delarte to Soleil. Was that?
In between, I went to Alberta, and we started our own circus, and then
Oh,
that
wow.
was an epic a few years with a really renegade theater company that was focused on mask and puppetry and physical theater. So we had a few years of really renegade theater there, where I didn't want to be part of Soleil. I was always calling it Cirque de Sellout and this and that. I was too
Yeah.
punk to want to
I
do
guess
anything like
everyone's
that.
against Soleil until they get invited to be in it.
Yeah, well, what happened for me was that our circus went bankrupt in no time because it's a huge business operation,
Yeah.
and I quit our circus, and then I was with a partner who had two sons at the time, and my boys were, oh, they hated school and they were miserable, and we were in a rat race of picking them up and getting them to beavers and blah blah blah. It just always felt like we were running, and I was like, I've had enough. And so it was actually because of my kids I called Soleil, because I just wanted a better life for them, and then of course it was great for all of us.
So you just called them and they were like, "Hey, yeah, come along."
Yeah, well, for them finding clowns is not easy. So yeah, I called, and they were like, "Well, just send your resume." And I said, "I think you already have me on file, actually." "Okay, well, just send us a da da da." And I said, and I'd heard through the grapevine that that was November-ish, say, and they were still, or October, and no, it was autumn anyhow. And I knew that they still didn't have their clowns for April from the grapevine, and so finally I said, and you're still looking for your clowns, right? I said, or something. I was like, oh, and somehow it came that I was a clown. They were like, "What? You're a clown? Wait, where are you? Who are you? What?" Wait, there's a clown on the phone. And they got super interested, and I was over there in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I was in Montreal, like they were, and for kind of a trial, and it worked out, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good story for people to remember, right? Because I think there's this perception that, oh, it's really, really hard to get into, and everyone's trying to get into Soleil, and there's a lot of competition, but just being on the phone, just like that kind of persistence, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, it's ironic because I grew up an hour away from Cirque du Soleil's headquarters in a little village, and I saw their growth since I was 12.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize, like in my mind, the big thing was to go to Europe and to be in a circus in France. Like I thought that was a big deal, that I was too intimidated by. Where it was Soleil, I just marched up there at 20 years old, knocked on the door, and was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm a clown." And they were like, "Do you have a resume?" And I was like, "No." But I had a friend that worked upstairs in finance, so I went upstairs and I was like, "Hey, can you help me make a resume?" And we made a resume. I took it back down. It's like,
I love it.
I had no idea the scope that in a way, I was less intimidated by Cirque du Soleil because it was just down the road from than I was to go to France. And when I finally did make it to Europe, I was like, these shows are crap. What was I so intimidated by?
That's great. So what
Yeah.
what what was it like doing Varekai and being in Soleil?
It was a mix of everything, like um it was the first time that I could just do a show and not also be putting up posters and calling the press and produce, usually you have to do everything in this business, right?
Yeah.
So it was the first time that I just had to do a show, and 10 shows a week. And I was young, I was 27, so it was a huge learning curve, and
Mm,
3,000 people, like, yeah, it was a huge learning curve, uh, artistically. And you have to learn how to economize your energy. You have to learn how to perform with sprained ankles and bronchitis. So you have to
mm,
really, it was a huge education. Politically, it was challenging because it was my first time involved in a big corporation. Usually, arts groups are really democratic and quite fair, and big corporations are not. That's the motto of big
yeah.
business, is get the most for the least. So
Yeah.
I had to, but again, my kids were with me. They were in an amazing school. We had beautiful meals, lots of parties. It was a real mix. I learned so much. Yeah. And when I was totally exasperated with it, I checked out. I left after
Mm.
3.5 years.
Did you
My
feel the
boys
work was
finished.
good? Did you make work, or were you
Oh
just
yeah, we
performing?
got to create
Yeah.
our own acts
Yeah.
with Cal
And
McCrystal.
oh, that was
So
okay.
yeah, no, it was amazing. To be honest, prior to that, I'd been offered Soleil 2 or 3 times, like, when I was a youngster, and I turned it down because it was to replace someone, or the timing wasn't right. And
Mm,
everybody thought I was a fool to turn down Soleil in my 20s, but I thought, no, I'll wait till I do what I want to do. And to get to create your own material is, yeah, next level, next level. So
yeah.
yeah, it was.
And that was good. And you were pleased with the material. You liked the material that you did.
We were the funniest clowns since 8 years, because prior to that, all the clowns were like wooka 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 waka, just characters doing stuff,
Yeah.
amusing and entertaining, but not like belly laughing.
Yeah.
And so the intent of the producer of this show was to have belly laughing clowns. And I said, me too, man. I don't want to be in the most famous circus in the world and have a flop, like, because you'll still be rolling, but my crew will be over. So they brought Cal McCrystal in, and I was
Mm,
trying to bring Joe Diefenbacher in, and then Andrew Watson saw Spy Monkey in Ireland over Christmas, and he brought Cal in, and bam, we had very, very funny material. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, he's a genius. There's
Yeah.
nothing he touches that isn't funny.
Yeah. He's kind of special.
He is, yeah, he is
And
really cool.
I bet you guys made an amazing partnership. In fact, you went on to make a whole show together, right?
Yeah, I trust Cal impeccably. Yeah,
Mm,
he's very, yeah, I trust him a lot.
mm.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about the Pickle family circus, and I didn't pick up on this and put it into your bio online because I wasn't aware of it. But I love the Pickle family circus. I mean, what an amazing transition to go from Soleil to the Pickles. And they don't exist anymore, do they? Are they still going in some shape or form?
No, I think the school's going, but the show's not going anymore. I think actually I might have been in the last show, possibly,
Yeah,
and they
I
were
feel
trying
like
to
it
make
hasn't
a
been
big
around for
thing
a long
of it.
time.
We were really trying to have a huge success. They put a big financial investment into it, but we just played our cards a little wrong. Like, we opened right away, so the press came on the first night, and the trapeze
Mm,
didn't fall, etc. Like, we should have had a week of running before we brought the press.
mm, mm.
Anyhow, long story short, for me, Pickles was a big deal. Almost, of course, Soleil is a deal, but in way for me as a clown, Pickles was a bigger deal, because that's a show that was created by clowns, great
Yeah,
clowns,
yeah,
many of whom were my mentors growing up: Joan Mankin, Jeff Raz, Pino, Jeff Hoyle, all those dudes. They were all my teachers
yeah,
as a youngster. So for me to be invited to clown with the Pickles, beside Joan Mankin, who was legendary, that was a, a big a big stepping point for me. And
yeah,
prior to that, I'd gone to London to work with Cal to develop new um, material, to develop some acts. and that's where we came up with the romance act with the where I put notes on my body everywhere. And anyhow, that was the first run of that new act in San Francisco, and yeah, coined the word name Gloria, and yeah, that for me the Pickles was that was monumental to get to be part of the
Yeah.
Pickles.
And you were with Joan Mankin on stage.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she was the we were kind of the two main characters. Yeah, yeah, and
Was
she's just
yeah.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Mm.
I long to be able to see that. Is there any video of that material that you
I
did
got it. It
back
was like
then?
'05, kind of pre videoing everything. I don't know.
Oh, five.
It took
That's
a
not
while
so
after
long ago.
Soleil. No, Soleil wasn't a ticket that you think. You kind of think, oh, I'll be in Soleil and then I'll be set for the rest of my career. But actually, I left Soleil and went back to elementary schools. Like, I struggled for a few years. We were really broke. My partner was really mad at me for quitting. But whatever.
Well, that's interesting. I want to just ask you about that. So, is that for you? And I ask you because that's something I've experienced myself, right? Like career-wise, not that I was at Soleil, but that I had a job, and as a professor in a university as an academic, and I had a salary to teach physical theater and clowning, and then it just got too much. The institution, the politics of it, made me miserable, and I quit. And now, I'm like trying to build up again from the ground up, right, without a salary, trying to make this business work, and certainly teaching in schools and this kind of thing. And sometimes it feels like life should just be like this, right?
It's not.
And then you get
It's just
somewhere, and then suddenly you're like, oh, I'm down. How did I get down here again? And you're like, struggle, 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 struggle,
yeah,
struggle. Does
yeah,
it feel like that to you, or do
yeah,
you sort of take those
totally,
easily? Hmm.
totally. I'll tell you. So after Soleil, okay, so I quit for a few years and then I went back and did a European tour with them. 2 years of all the best cities of Europe, including Russia. That's when I did the Royal Albert with them in London.
Hmm.
And right after that, I arranged it so that I brought all my theater show to London to have Cal direct it. I'd saved all my money for those 2 years. I had a big cachet of money. The intention was to get the show up, buy a van, tour European festivals, blah blah blah. I was on the up and up. I was playing Paris with Soiree. I was like, I just played Moscow, London, da da da. I was just like, bam bam bam. I thought I was a thing. And my show, we went into it. We did birth the show very painfully, but we did birth the show in London, and then Revenue Canada, our tax agency, emptied my bank accounts, which not too many countries are allowed to do that, but here they are. I didn't know. I'd been on tour for so many years. I'd never received a letter in the mail. Suddenly, I went to get pay the guy who built my set, and my bank accounts were empty. Like 2 years of savings gone. I'm in a foreign country with no money. And I was like, anyhow, I got out of that pickle, but I had to come back to Canada and do street performing. It was like and I thought I was the thing, like Moscow, Paris, London, and then boom, back to Medicine Hat, Alberta, doing dressed up in a chicken suit. Like it was really like mentally going into it. I thought it was a downfall, but actually in doing it, it was actually it was so the best thing that could have happened because festival clowning is real clowning. You're right there with people playing, looking them in the eye,
Hmm.
energy going back and forth. Whereas on the stage with lights and sound and everything to support you, you can become a big thing. But that's not necessarily true. Like there's a lot there supporting you. But when you go back to festival clowning, you go back to the roots of clowning and really just playing with humans and having that interaction and improvising and being open and letting things in and not always doing things your way. Like it was
Hmm.
in the end, I remember even in the moment, I was like, this is the best thing that could have happened to me was to have the carpet pulled out so that I had to kind of start, not really start again, but just come back to the root of clown and and yeah, climb again. Then yeah, this is cool. So
And
yeah, I think we can call it. I think in the kind of ways that we consider success and failure and all that, okay, we can, but actually as a clown, I think it's what a gift that we are so versatile, that we can
mm,
play everything from shopping malls to hospitals to refugee camps to grand theaters and circuses. Yeah, to me that's kind of my favorite bit, is that one night you're in some flash uh, dressing room of a really posh theater, and the next night you're in the basement of a pub slapping up on a beer keg, you know. I just really, I love the diversity of
yeah,
our work. Yeah.
that's beautiful. I suppose the fact that you've had that diversity is also a gift. Like, you know, you've experienced both ends of the spectrum, so you've, I mean, just that wealth of experience,
Yeah.
you know, must be
And
lovely
and
to
and
look
and
back
still
on.
do, you know, still do. Like,
Yeah,
if the neighborhood asks me to do something for a neighborhood thing, I'm there. And then if it's like a palazzo in Germany, sure, or you know, or the some fancy circus in Amsterdam, sure. But
yeah,
just
or the powwow, as you were saying, you know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and working with
Yeah.
chickens.
Yeah, the chickens, that's our next show. My next show is this little chicken show, because when COVID hit, I just thought, well, I guess if touring is out of the question, I better have a show that I can do locally.
Mm.
And so I got the girls and started training them up. Poor chickens. Although they live a life of luxury.
Um, David says, in my mind, the Pickles are the ones that showed Soleil it could be done, and
Yeah.
Soleil was a smaller venture.
Yeah, absolutely. They were amongst, and there was some Russian circus as well doing very innovative
Mm.
artistic work. And I think it was, you know, we always kind of go, oh, that was the beginning. But
Right.
everything's an evolution, isn't it? Our chaos was going on in France,
Yeah.
and
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
it was an evolution, that a timing where people were reinventing, because as art forms and everything, they get stale. You know, people just copy what the last person did, copy what the
Yeah.
last person did, and then someone has to rupture that and
Yeah.
recreate, and then everyone like now everybody's just copying Soleil, and then someone will rupture that
Yeah.
again. Now we have all these avant-garde circuses in their underpants and angst and sadness, and then that'll get ruptured again. Like,
So, what
yeah.
is for you? What is the thing that you are most interested in artistically right now?
You, uh, I still really just love all of it, I gotta admit. What I'm working, I really do, like, I love all of it. But, now I'm working more towards screen-based. I'm doing
Okay.
more, I've made a bunch of short films, still Gloria, still
Mm.
physical comedy. Um, and so, yeah, now that's my newest direction. I'm trying to crack television with that. Um, so it's a new
Where
challenge.
where can we see
And
that?
what, well, soon. Soon.
Good.
I'm keeping the shorts. I haven't distributed them yet because I'll use them as promotion
Mm.
strategically.
Mm.
So right now we're just in creation of them. I've been made about 9 or 10 of them, um, and it's also learning for me because it's a whole new industry and a whole new approach to clown. Like, it's not it's a different energy level than you use on the stage.
Tell me about that. What is it? How does it feel? Can you describe the difference?
I'm starting to learn it. It's just, well, maybe I'm starting to learn it on stage as well, but I've always been a little bit manic on stage, and like, and everything's going wrong, and I'm trying to make it good, and that's always what made people laugh. And
Mm.
but now I'm getting to an age where and an understanding that, oh, everybody likes it when it goes wrong. So before I was always actually sincerely panicking, and people just thought, oh, that was the best part. But now I finally understand. This I know I was a very slow learner, but I finally understand that the mistakes are the best part, and to just act. Now I act like I'm in a pickle, but I'm actually having a laugh inside and still breathing. So with screen work, breath is a big deal. You got to really keep your breath under control, and also, you know, you have to do the same thing 7 times.
Yeah.
It's Yeah, it's really, and so you there's a lot of physical awareness, and just trying to keep yourself. You got to keep aware to not do like tense mugging or
Yeah. Yeah.
too much. You know, just try to keep it on this level that's believable, I guess, but still eccentric.
Yeah,
Because there was a
that's
few
tricky balance.
yeah, balance. Yeah, there was in my earlier ones. I took it down so much that they weren't really that funny, and I was like, okay, you got to bring it back up a little bit. It still has to be weird and silly,
Yeah,
but not like.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
I'd say I'm still learning that energy level for a screen. COVID was brilliant because I know I'm one of the few to say that, but I loved lockdown.
COVID
I'm
was
sorry.
brilliant. Yeah.
I loved it.
I'm
I
with you.
cried
I
when I
think,
saw the airplanes back.
yeah.
Yeah, but the what was neat was that I still had received several commissions to make either workshops or little videos for internet during lockdown.
Mm,
But I was in my living room all alone with no camera guys, no light people, no sound people. And so I had a chance to do it and then do it again and do it again and just with my own self directing myself. So I learned a lot in even though the products are very amateur, they're amateur. They look crap. I made them in my living room, but but I learned way
yeah.
more of that vibe of just playing gently and easily and maintaining breathing, and yeah, it's cool, man. But
Interesting.
no, I love all of it. I feel like we're the luckiest people on the planet. Like and even when that happened, and for me, I mean, suddenly you have no work for 2 3 years and you have to change your whole lifestyle and you can't go to coffee shops anymore. But it's like I loved it. I was like, I feel so grateful that we're so versatile, and of all the artists as well too. Like if I was a modern dancer, I would be fucked, but we're
Mm.
clowns. We can always make a living somehow. We're really lucky.
Yeah, it's very transferable onto the screen. It seems
Yeah,
to me.
screen, festival, street,
Yeah,
refugee camp, hospital,
yeah,
elementary school. Like
yeah.
we're everywhere.
And I'm with you on the screen thing, like on the COVID thing, because it it was there were some stressful elements about it, but it was a break, it was a change, and that is kind of a blessing always, right? Like a break, it gives you perspective and a chance to step outside of your life and see things differently.
It's like what other time period got to do that as an adult, to just stop for a year and self-reflect and
Yes,
recognize your
without being
behavior.
bombed. Like it's not the same as war because you're not
No,
being bombed. It's different.
no, no. You're in your kitchen making
Yeah,
tea and going, "Hey,
yeah,
who am I? What am I
yeah.
doing?"
How cool
No,
is
it
that?
was even yes, it was stressful and scary sometimes, and for me, like I don't have any relatives here or anything. Sometimes it was brutally lonely, and I
Mm.
missed the laughter amongst us so much. I mean, we in our trade, we were backstage laughing so much. Like there were times that were challenging for sure, but I still felt so grateful. That it's amazing
Mm.
opportunity.
Yeah,
I wished it had been another year.
yeah. So
But
with the
it's
screen work you're doing now, you have all those things now? You have a studio and camera, like people, a team helping you.
I have a little production team that we've been working together. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm really attached to my DOP, the camera dude. He's very very talented, and I really want him to be a key figure in the company. I'm also attached to my sound engineer. He's a key player as well. Um,
So you have a company, and that company a specifically about television production company, or is that your company for all your work?
I developed it for screen production,
Yeah.
but now, yeah, I encompass it. It's kind of it goes in two ways because the only income to the company is my live work or teaching work and that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
So on paper, it's better if there's income coming in as well. So now it does encompass both, but in fact, the intention was as a production company for screen. So yeah, we're in we haven't done anything in a little while, frankly, other than editing and working on promos and stuff like that. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm very
we do
I'm
have a
very
company.
curious to see is this an evolution? What kind of evolution is this artistically and comedically for you? Is it Gloria doing things, or is it new characters?
It is Gloria. I think the
Yeah.
main evolution is that, when I've mostly worked variety, I do have a little theater show, which does have a little story, but the story is a clown that wants to put on a show. So it's not too elaborate. But and variety, you do your little 5-10 minute act and bada bing bada bang. But in picture making, you're making stories, and that for me is the next evolution, is the storytelling. And I love storytelling, that's, yeah, I've really enjoyed writing for it, I have to admit. And I'll be really excited to start shooting it. It's gonna be really beautiful. So yeah.
Well, I hope you'll let us know when it gets released, so that we can help with the promotion of it, and
Okay.
sort of giving it a platform for people. Because
Okay.
I mean, I'm just talking about my Facebook group and
Yeah.
website and things like that. Whenever you have something, I hope
Okay.
you'll just keep me on your list and
Okay.
let us know about it.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just very exciting, and we're coming to the end of our time here, but I just want to kind of reflect a moment on this breadth of this conversation that we just had, and how fascinating it was, and right from talking about this exciting kind of new resurgence of ritual or sacred clowning in the First Nations communities, and through to your own incredible career and the ups and downs of that, and then the effect of the pandemic and the new screen work you're doing. It's just so rich. I feel like you've lived a kind of enchanted life. I don't know quite what I mean by that, but that's just what's coming to my mind.
I'll take it. I
Yeah,
feel like I'm one of the luckier people on the planet. I think all of us in this business are amongst the luckiest in the planet.
yeah,
We have a job that is. I always say we're on the same path of monks, where we're seeking freedom and happiness, but we get to party and have sex. So we got it even better.
yeah. Not so much during the pandemic, but yeah, again now we're released.
Yeah, I feel like we are. I don't know about the word blessed, but we are blessed. We are. I don't know what word is right, but definitely fortunate. And yeah, I love my life. It's like everyone, I have ups and downs. Like, I'm not happy all the time, but overall, yeah, I feel so grateful, and so grateful that to have a life as a clown. Yeah, it's the coolest vocation.
Well, I'm very
Yeah.
grateful to you for just talking to us for this hour. I feel uplifted and inspired. So thank you so much.
Yeah, such a pleasure. I hope we get to meet in real life soon.
I do too. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
make
I'll
that
be
happen.
traveling down the West Coast. I'm going down to Delarte. Our school director and auntie and teacher Joan Shirley passed away in February. So, in July we're going to come have a commemoration. What's that? We're going to celebrate that, and so
Beautiful.
I'll drive down. I'm going to drive down with my chickens.
Where do you live in Alberta?
I live in Saskatchewan, which is
Right.
east
Oh
of
my
Alberta.
goodness. Okay, so it's a long
Yeah.
way for you to get
It's
down
a
here.
long way, and with the girls, it's going to be really slow.
I'm going to meet them then. So you're going to drive through Portland because you can't get down
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah, we'll drive to Portland.
We'll meet in Portland, and I can meet the
Okay.
girls.
Okay, I'll let you know. Do you have a yard?
Yeah, actually, you're very welcome. We live about an hour east of Portland in Hood
Oh,
River.
perfect. Okay, perfect.
We'll talk about this in a second offline. But I'm going to say
Okay.
goodbye to everybody, and
Okay.
thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
Wait, you better meet
Um,
Coop.
oh yes, this is the other one. What's her name?
Kukuruza.
Kukarutsa.
Yeah.
Hi, Kukarutsa.
She's not as social, but I make her cuddle me.
Lona.
She scratches me.
Hi.
Bye, everyone.
All
Thanks for
right.
being interested.
Bye, everyone. Yeah, see you again in a few weeks for some more Clown-versation fun.
Yeah, cool. My Coop.